It's one of those things where we'll spend more time talking about this week's Vanis information.
Get
So
out
Rob,
of town.
Vanis came out of nowhere and left a note again
Yeah.
in my bathroom,
Oh,
and
that's weird.
and it said, "Rhythm is a dancer. It's a soul companion. You
Right.
can feel it everywhere. Lift your
Which is
hands
really
and
weird to leave in a
voices.
bathroom.
Free your mind and join us. You can feel it in the air." So take that what you will. I'm very confused. What does Vanis want? I don't know. I'm confused. Anyways,
I guess
welcome
maybe more
everyone.
of your prescription drugs that are in your
Vanis
cabinet.
Vanis works in mysterious ways. Welcome to the Heroes World Quarantine Podcast. We are back to talk about Uncharted, the Tom Holland, Mark Wahlberg vehicle. Here we go.
Oh boy!
Yeah. We were really
This shit was an hour and 56 minutes.
It's long. We were really debating whether we were going to do this movie or not, but Rob already pre-bought tickets and he couldn't just stop. So we're like, fine, we'll do it.
Yeah.
We're like, the reviews came out. We're like, oh, this doesn't look good. And Rob's like,
that embargo got lifted, and we're like, we still doing this? Should I cancel these tickets? Yeah,
Rob,
and I was like, I'm going.
Rob's committed. So John and me are like, fine, we'll do it just because we like you, Rob. We'll sit through this movie.
Oh, gee, thanks for making it about me.
So yes, this is our review, unfiltered, of Uncharted. We'll do typically what we do before, which is kind of general thoughts, a rating out of 10, and then spoilers. But of course, I'm your host, Stupe. With me is one of the owners and proprietors of Heroes World, Mr. John Ho. Please say hello.
Howdy, folks. Hi, Stu. Hi, Rob.
Yes, hey, aka the Vanis. And third, of course, on our industrious trio. The three amigos, as you would say, Mr. Rob.
I
knew
that reference for the 70-year-olds watching.
If I offered John $70, I don't think he would be able to remember what the hell that was.
That's for my dream of genie.
No. I'm in a chair.
Are you doing the Macarena?
No.
So we're just saying right now, Rob, he's the Chevy, right? Is that what we're saying? He's Chevy?
I think so. Okay. I think so.
I figured that's the case.
We're doing the Three Amigos again, right?
Yeah. Does that mean that are you Martin Short or Steve Martin?
I think I'm the Martin Short because you're the smarter of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do have a feeling I would like to do a banjo in my life. So yes, okay. There we go. So here we go. John, as let me talk to you about this rich history of the Three Amigos and El Guapo. But no, we're gonna go talk about Uncharted. This is such an amazing feat because this game came out in 2007 for the PlayStation, and immediately afterwards, the world said we need a movie. So in 2008,
immediately,
yep, 2008. Super producer Avi Avard from all the Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse and all that stuff. It's like co-founder of Marvel Studios. Like, we're gonna do this. We're gonna get Uncharted. Got it together. Columbia Pictures. Boom. And they were talking about maybe Nathan Fillion would do it and all this stuff back and forth. Needless to say, super director David O. Russell signs on to do this movie. A whole movie ready to go. And then he says, you know what? Forget it. It's taking too long. I'm out. I'm going to do this movie no one's going to heard of. It's not going to be a big deal, called Silver Linings Playbook. No big deal. Wins a couple Oscars, carries on. The next director steps up. It's like, who could this be? What can we get? I don't know. Well, Neil Berger is available. Neil Berger steps in, starts doing the production. And then it's, actually, this thing called Divergent is coming, and it's a multi-picture deal. So I guess I'll do Divergent. He walks away from this movie. A new writer comes in. David Guggenheim. And all of a sudden, Mark Bull steps up to it. It's like, Mark Bull's like, guys, I got this. I'm in. But then The Rock pulls him aside. It's like, you want to direct a movie called Baywatch, right? He's like, yeah, you know what? I do want to direct the movie Baywatch. I'm out. He bounces. Next director comes in. It's like, who can we get next? Joe Carnahan working on the script. Maybe I'll do things. And he's like, all right, I'm going to do this movie. And then Ryan Reynolds taps the shoulders like, I got this movie called Free Guy. He's like, I'm out. Free Guy. Ryan, I can do that movie. Then
Oh, that was Sean Levy directed Free Guy.
Yeah, Sean Levy. You're right. Sean Levy directed. And Sean Levy was gonna do it. He bounces out. Then
Right.
Dan Trachtenberg comes in. Is like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. Nope, he's out. Then Travis Knight comes in. He's like, you know what? I'll direct. No, he's out. And then Ruben Fleischer, the super director of many Sony films, the reliever you call in to get stuff all done. Super director who did such fantastic movies like Zombie Land and Gangster Squad and The Unicorn Store, and of course,
Venom.
steps in to direct this movie.
This explains a lot now.
So here we go. A 15-year journey. Mark Wahlberg was originally tasked to be Nathan Drake, and now he's transitioned to Sully.
Yeah.
So
Was
here
it
we
during
go.
his Funky Bunch time?
This property was so difficult. Even Yui Bowl was like, I don't know.
So this movie, I think, cost who knows what the Wikipedia, 90 to 120 million bucks. It over the weekend made 145 in a pandemic, so very good for Tom Holland. Lots of conversations about him maybe stepping away with Spider-Man and leverage about how much money he should be paid. So, you know, many of the video game fans not a fan of this movie. Many of the film critics not a fan of this movie, but audience scores are fine. People are like, great. I have no idea what Uncharted is. So they're all in. So here we go, John. Now I've dropped all that knowledge, all that info, all that history. Russell O. Davies, Uncharted. I just can only imagine what that movie would be. My God. All right. What do you got for us, John?
That's nuts. And I think didn't Nathan Fillion try to pull a Ryan Reynolds and he made like
He did a fan movie.
film?
Yes.
Yeah, there was a fan movie. Yeah. It's actually really good.
I remember it was kind of decent, except for you kind of go like, yeah, he's getting kind of older. But I guess that's the problem with Hollywood now. Everything's got to be looked at like a 3-picture deal now. So we're not getting any the casting that I guess fans wanted. I don't know if anyone asked for Tom Holland. Like if you look at a fan casting, I don't know if Tom Holland was on the list. I certainly don't think Mark Wahlberg was on the list to play Sully. What a colossal weird thing that happened there. So let's go spoiler free. We're keeping it spoiler free, right?
Yeah, we're gonna. I just want to get your general thoughts on this because
so overall, this is a popcorn movie. You're definitely going to go and watch it and not think too much about it. Does it have enough action? It's all right. I would say does it? I guess we're going to save the deep dive of does this break the video game curse later on. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. But we had fun seeing it in theaters. If I could go back in time and reverse and refund my tickets, I might have taken that option if I was.
Rob,
I don't know what movie that was.
All right, let me
Nicolas Cage movie or something. But yeah,
let me jump to Rob for a second. Rob, I want to read out a certain amount of dates to you because I feel like this is a Rob experience to the T. So this movie. This is the Wonder Woman Charlie Brown situation because the movie originally was to be dropped on June 10th, 2016. And they're like, you know what? Things are not working out. We'll go June 30th, 2017. And then we're like, you know, we're going to change the date again, December 18th, 2020. And then they're like, you know what? No, March 5th, 2021. Then we're going to go, you know what? Never mind. October 8th, 2021. And nope, July 16th, 2021. And then nope, February 11th, 2022. So that's the history of how many times they've been Charlie Browning you in terms of dates, releases, filming. And then remember, they were supposed to start filming on day one, and then COVID happened, and then they screwed it up again. So Rob, give us your general little thoughts on this weird movie, which I'll talk about as well after you're done.
Yeah, it is weird. And I have some specific thoughts with respect to the puzzles.
They're lower than an escape room, by the way.
Well,
I think if we went to an escape room, there'd be harder puzzles.
Well, yeah, we'll get into that when it gets to the spoiler. But my general overall sense is this. This is a perfect movie for your Netflix Crave streaming subscription.
Yep.
you will waste. You'll have more options to waste your time on other shit. This isn't like this is a perfect Saturday afternoon, rainy day movie. You have nothing to do. The kids, you're like, oh crap, can't go outside. Can't. Hey guys, Uncharted just dropped on Crave or on Netflix. Let's fire it up, get some popcorn. and I think that they will enjoy it. I think that this is made. Listen, guys, we're in our 40s. This is not really made for us, even though we played the video games. And I went back. I'm right now playing the first one, Drake's Fortune. It's not made. This movie is not made for us, and so I think that for people of our ilk, our vintage, I think that this overall story of Uncharted is better served in its video game format because the narrative is much more rich. I think if you are watching this and you are in the 12 to 28 range, you are probably going to like this movie quite a bit.
Quite a bit.
I think so.
Here's the thing, John. It's a movie that doesn't insult you for your intelligence. Like it's dumb, but it's not like you're this dumb, we're gonna force feed it to you. It's simple plot line, storyline. It kind of pushes you along slowly. Tom Holland's very charismatic. You like him. Mark Wahlberg does Mark Wahlberg things. He does the same voice. He does the same Marky Mark stuff. It's again, I have to say, if you have never played Uncharted, you'll probably like this movie. You have no reference point. You have no idea what's going on. And you're like, hey, this is like an adventure that makes sense. These movies are a dime a dozen, and these type of basic premise action movies. And before spoiler, I think the person going to this movie has to realize that this is essentially a giant game of broken telephone. Uncharted is basically an homage to all these movies. The National Treasure, Indiana Jones stuff. So basically it is already a copy of movies. And now we're making a movie based on a video game that's based on other movies. So it's 3 times broken telephone, or as in I learned in the classic movie Multiplicity, each copy degrades after you copy another one. A copy of a copy of a copy.
That's right.
Gets worse. So the great Michael Keaton, who had pizza in his wallet. This is what happens generally in this film. And I could definitely say this has all the trappings of a movie that is trying to be, a National Treasure / Indiana Jones / all those movies, but it didn't seem to find the right footing. And I'll go into that momentarily in terms of spoilers, but yeah, we'll talk about that. So, John, out of 10, what are you giving this movie?
Yeah, so caveat before I give up my rating, Stu mentioned a lot of the game line story or the video game storyline. I played a lot of Uncharted, but I didn't play any of the story mode. So I went in with knowing nothing. I just went straight to the multiplayer. I jammed like so much multiplayer, and I want to say it was Uncharted 2 or Uncharted 3. Then I'm pretty sure the time that I spent on it exceeds what a lot of people spent in story mode. So with that being said, I didn't mind all the changes and yada yada they made. So I will give this a score. I'm bumping it up because I did see it in the theaters, and it's a lot of fun to see this type of movie in the theaters. So out of 10, I give it a 7.5, and it's probably got a 1 point bump for seeing it in the theaters. So it's probably in actuality a 6.5.
Rob?
So I have played all the games, and I think that the one thing that I have to do when I'm looking at these movies is I almost have to disassociate the games from the movie, because the game gives you anywhere.
Did you bring a controller with you so you could hit X button?
If I had a controller, I'd throw it at you right now. If a game gives you anywhere between 8 to 60 hours of enjoyment, depending on the depth of the game. So, I think that we have to review these movies kind of based on what they are. And that being said, because I'm outside the target demo, but there are moments that I like, I'm going to give it a 6. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it, but it's not shit. Like, it is what it is. So I'm giving it a 6.
I'm always in sync with Rob. I'm also giving it a 6. I thought the little bit of Antonio Banderas I got was perfect. It was a French kiss of
He was
just,
great.
he's the best part of the movie. Like
He was
Tom
playing
Holland's great, but
evil for evil's sake.
he's the best part of this movie. He's just kind of all, he just does Antonio Banderas things, and you're like, the nasal XB. Like I feel like he's there, Puss in Boots and whatnot. So he does.
Too bad the guy from Hawkeye did a better job though, of doing his Antonio Banderas as Kate Bishop's stepdad.
Yeah. You know, but again, that's Antonio Banderas does Antonio Banderas things. So yeah, I, to all your point, John, I couldn't give it the bump because of that. There were things. Honestly, I don't know if I want to come back to this movie, but you know, I don't regret, I guess, watching it. So, and I know a lot about the movies. I know a lot about the game. I mean, so I played all 4 games. So
it was better than like something like a Red Notice. Like Rob compared it to like Netflix and all that type of movies. I think it's 100% better than Red Notice.
I think I kind of like Red Notice more.
Really? Get out of town. All right, keep going.
Honestly, because like Red Notice was so stupid. I knew what I was getting into. It was Ryan Reynolds and The Rock. Like it's just stupid, and Ryan Reynolds just kind of did his thing. Even that Russian gulag scene and the whole thing there was more interesting than half the stuff that happened in this movie. I'm just like, I don't care. I don't care. Mark Wahlberg, you're doing Mark Wahlberg things, you know, like he's just doing his
Tom Holland.
How do your mother?
But Tom Holland's doing
Spider-Man,
Peter Parker, Spider-Man stuff.
Like even the poses, he's bending and he's like back with his arm out. I'm like, are you Spider-Man? Like I guess it's just like.
Well, that's from the game though, right? When he's holding on to ledges and he's bending backwards.
I know, but it's just like it's a natural Spider-Man reflex where he's just like, I know how to pose like Spider-Man because I've been doing it for 8 years straight. It's like, all right.
Well, and he talks to himself.
Yep.
Right? He's like, oh, come on, you got to be kidding me, right? Like he's doing all these things that we just saw him do 2 months ago.
Yep.
And say all these things. So
all right, let's go full into spoilers because at this point we got to break some bread and go into this. So if you haven't watched Uncharted, disembark and come back to find out our thoughts. But we are going to go full spoilers, so please, John, do the hand signals to let people know. For the visual people, if you're listening to the podcast,
moisturized hands, buddy.
All right. Okay, so John, let's go. Let's go.
Weirdo.
Spoilers, because man, oh man, like I'll just throw this out. This whole like, I need to know that every man has a code. I need Omar. Omar said it swiftly and beautifully. Every man needs a code. There has to be some law and order and balance. Everyone in this movie besides Nathan Drake is like, I just do whatever I need to do. Everyone breaks every rule. There's no nothing. There's no, I guess, honor among thieves. But even then, it's
the code was that no one else had a code. That's why no one trusted nobody. And then like this person was gonna always betray this other person. There was like nothing. Yeah,
it was really awful. So yeah, it just everyone seemed to be just doing their own thing, and it was just brutal. John, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, like so I only played multiplayer, and in playing multiplayer, I shot like 1 million guys. In story mode, does Nathan Drake not kill anybody? I'm pretty sure you kill 1 million guys.
Oh, you kill everyone. You kill 1 billion people. The head count is huge.
You're a mass murderer.
Yeah. Mass murderer.
What's going on here? So I don't know. This I think Rob made a really good point that this is basically a showcase for Tom Holland. I think at one point he said he wanted to be like James Bond or something like that. So it feels like they took like a bunch of things that Tom Holland wanted to do and threw it all in this movie. One of the key things I think is interesting in this, after watching this movie, we know that they can now make a cocktail remake starring Tom Holland with all his flair bartending. Right. Yeah. But what was cool about that is I actually got a Jackie Chan vibe from Tom Holland. The way he would fight, like he's grabbing bottles, hitting guys over the head, punching guys out, and going, "Oh, I'm sorry," like throwing that guy off the thing. So as if you're there to watch him, I think you're gonna be fine. Mark Wahlberg seemingly is way out of place in this. I don't know if you guys felt the same way. Like they could have recast it with somebody else. I don't know if his star power really helped this. And some of the characters I understand are not from the video game. That's why some people were questioning. Like I think the main bad guy is not from the game.
No.
It's the main female henchman is not from the game.
Nope.
The Chloe character is from the game because I remember she's a skin in multiplayer, so I recognize her.
is played by Claudia Black in the video games, who was in Farscape and in Stargate.
Yeah. So I don't know. And Rob's probably going to talk more about the puzzles and stuff. The whole phone tracking thing, like you're above, you're below, like it was kind of like a cheap way to try and make them sync up without actually having them have to do puzzles. And I don't know if you guys have ever used. I don't know if you guys have ever used that feature. I tried to use it one Halloween to find one of my daughter's friends, and we never were able to sync up. We never found them the entire time.
Still missing.
Yeah. We were like, here's my find me. And then they sent me. I find them, and then we're like, let's see if we line up. Never happened. It was like impossible. So maybe they have really
poor girls.
Yeah, maybe they have really high end phones or something like that. So that was kind of funny.
They had Sony Ericsson phones. Didn't you notice? Come on, John.
Yeah.
Product
2016, right? Yeah, I don't know. It's a fun movie if you don't think about it. Like towards the end, I started going, these bad guys seem to have a lot of money. So why are they doing what they're doing? Like they have like all these helicopters and things. I'm like, do they really need this extra money? And then
John,
Pat was like,
first off, you learn when you're in business school, you never buy a boat and you never buy a helicopter. You rent, baby.
Yeah. So if they don't own all that shit, then you're not getting their deposit back.
You're taking a loan
deposit
out,
do you have to leave for a helicopter engineered to carry pirate ships? And why were those guys carrying air-powered Batman grappling hooks? Was hilarious when they're doing these two ships next to each other, and all of a sudden they whip out grapple hooks. I'm like, why do they have these? This makes no sense.
Yeah,
John, this is the same thing when you go into the bad guy utility warehouse and you're kind of picking things out. We saw in the Boondock Saints. It's like, why do you need rope? We might just need a rope. You just take it, and you never know when you're going to need it.
I don't. I feel like they should have kept Antonio Banderas, because when I asked Pat was like, "Oh, it's because Antonio Banderas has the thrill of the hunt and the whole kind of like he wants it for his ego." And then they get rid of that character, and then you're like, "Why are these other people like risking their asses? Like, why didn't they drop off the first ship and then chase the like?" There's no way they could have got out of sight with a giant friggin' helicopter and a boat in time. Like,
John, I don't think in a heist you realize the less people you got, the less people you share with. So they're just getting it out. You get less shares to give out to, John.
They gotta maximize. But yeah, and I feel like Mark Wahlberg could have thrown one piece of gold at what's her name's head to knock her off the thing instead of the whole bag. But overall, yeah, if you don't think about it and you just turn off your brain and watch it like Rob says, I think you'll have an all right time. But I can see why the diehard the Uncharted guys are not digging it. Would you guys have rather seen the Nathan Fillion version, even though he's a little older? I think so, right? Yeah, so it's a shame that Hollywood is stuck in this formula. Got to make maximum money. And then who was the fan casting for Sully? Was it Bryan Cranston?
No.
I think it was, the Breaking Bad guy, right? That was what everybody wanted to have happen.
I've never heard his name come up. I thought it was I can't remember his name now. Oh, well, it doesn't matter.
Anyways, yeah, well, whatever. It's okay. I would have preferred to see it on streaming, yeah.
Rob, what are your thoughts?
So Stu, you said earlier that this is a movie that's based on a video game that is based on a bunch of movies. And after a while, when you are a derivative of a derivative of a derivative, it now becomes that you're like, oh, I've seen this part from a movie. Oh, I've seen this. Oh, I've seen that. Like, listen, the opening scene is a James Bond. We've seen that in two different James Bond movies. Living Daylights and in one of the Craig movies. Like, we've seen the cargo plane with the stuff hanging out. We've seen all of this stuff. This is, if you're getting a vibe of Indiana Jones, if you're older, of an older ilk, you're like, oh, it's kind of like Indiana Jones. You're gonna get that. It's gonna feel like Tomb Raider to you. It's gonna feel like The Mummy. It's gonna feel like National Treasure. It's gonna feel a little bit like the Da Vinci Code. But here's where I want to discuss like the puzzle aspect, is that if you're watching the Da Vinci Code movie, if you're watching even National Treasure, which I would say if you were into these searching for puzzles and gold and
searching
this
for
and that.
Bobby Fischer.
That's right, searching for Bobby Fischer. If you were into that type of thing, I think National Treasure is a much better movie. And the reason I say that is because in those movies, they make you feel like you are helping solve the riddles and the puzzles. Like, you actually feel invested in watching these guys figure it out. to quickly digress a bit, when you had Nicolas Cage with the glasses, and with the different lenses in the first National Treasure, and he's figuring, like, you're kind of like, oh, this is really smart. Like, this is cool. Like, I don't feel stupid because I don't understand. I feel like I'm with these guys figuring it out, and this is a lot of fun. And this is where I think that this movie's probably its biggest failure, because it relies so heavily on trying to follow these breadcrumbs to go to the next, the next treasure, the next area. And you're meant to follow along, but you don't feel like you're actually part of it. It holds no weight. Them figuring out these keys go together and putting it in the slot and turning it, you don't actually feel like you're like, oh, you know what? You didn't achieve it. You achieve those opening secret doors and passages in National Treasure, or in The Mummy, or even in the Da Vinci Code. You don't feel like you achieved it in Uncharted. And that, I think, is his biggest problem. So for me, that was that, like, I couldn't get over that. I just felt like it was not palatable enough, right? That's your bread and butter for the basis of this movie. And that's where I do think that if you are a gamer, if you have played these games, John says a lot of gamers are kind of irritated because it doesn't skew to the source material. But how do you do that? You've had 4 games. And the last game, I think, was 68 hours in length or something, right? Like, and the narrative of the 4th game, like, there's a lot of cutscenes. You're spending sometimes 20 minutes watching a cutscene. And so how do you compete? So that's where I think they really needed to up the ante on the excitement level in this movie and make it feel as a bigger adventure. And it never felt like an adventure. It felt like I was watching a cutscene from an earlier, like a PlayStation 1 driven game. And that's not to say that special effects was. I'm just meaning in terms of storytelling. It was in the infancy of the next gen hardware. I don't mind Tom Holland as Nathan Drake, only because I'm like, okay, we know he's in his early 20s, like in real life. He's just 20 or 21. He'll grow into the role, but I do hope that they make it a lot more enjoyable in his adventure. Again, I didn't mind Mark Wahlberg. The one other aspect that really pissed me off to no end is, again, we've talked about spoilers, guys. So Antonio Banderas does not live long in this movie. And like, I've seen thousands of movies, and in that, like, hundreds and hundreds of death scenes where people get their throat slashed. I've never seen a throat slash murder with nary a blood. Like, it was a couple of lines.
She carterized it right after.
Yeah, there's a couple of lines, and that was it. And then, like, when they pan back and you see him lying there in between Nathan and somebody else, and like, there's no blood on the floor. Like, it was very much skewed to that younger audience. They were trying to adhere to that PG rating. And I think by doing that, it sacrificed a little bit of this action. I just think that the first Mummy is a much better movie. The National Treasure is a much better movie. And I think that if you have young kids who are kind of interested,
but you don't. Mummy?
No, but you don't want to go to the theater right now. Maybe you're not comfortable because of COVID. Maybe you don't want to spend the money going to see this movie. Show them those 2 movies instead. They'll be much better served for it.
This movie is such a weird culmination of cherry picking games, but not just picking the best action sequence. Like Rob, you mentioned, Bond movies have done it better with this flight thing, and I felt that CGI really took me out of it.
Yeah.
I rather a Mission Impossible Tom Cruise where it's kind of actual real life.
Right.
And this whole thing, the CGI of the thing jumping, I'm like, it makes sense in a video game, but in this aspect, I'm like, it just took me out of the movie. I'm like, oof, it's not very good. So I've seen Bond movies do it better. I've seen tons of other movies that use just practical effects. Even Fast and Furious, when they were in the plane coming out of the car, seem more realistic than this scenario. So it was such a weird kind of nuance. And yeah, to your point, Tom Holland can do this if he wants, but does he want to? Like, it's a franchise, but is this any going to go anywhere, do anything for him? Like, I look at Nathan Drake in the even beginning of the movie. I felt that with him and the 2 actors that played his brothers, the brothers in the beginning of the movie, were actually really good. You got a sense of like, oh, these guys care for each other, and him and Sam from Outer Banks. John, I don't know if you. Of course you haven't, because you haven't finished it. Because John, you're a quitter. And I thought that was all right. And then that moment where he's the bartending and stealing the stuff, I'm like, I don't. Who are you? Like, what is this? Bartender.
It's a cocktail remake.
You're stealing from a like rich socialite, but it's like I'm not.
And
sure
how do you afford that apartment?
I was like,
the top window view. Like,
yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like, I guess you steal a lot, because I can't figure out how you afford this.
He stole the apartment.
Yeah, it must have been an orphanage, because him and his brother, like, I just sat there scratching my head going, how does this work? How does she get this much money? How does this, like, everything just kind of goes through my mind. It's one of those things, the tropes of all these movies, that typically they all live in wonderful apartments, and you're like, how? You're supposed to be poor? So I don't know. I wanted some higher stakes. I wanted more logic from the characters, and I left going, okay, a couple gold here and there. Like in your estimation, the amount of gold that they left at the end of the movie, this gold bar and stuff, how much does it even equate to how much Sully spent to like fly? Like, how much gold is that? Like, is that like $2,000? Like, all this stuff, and like from the wreckage, it was like a bar and like 3 little trinkets. How much money is that? Like, could you two know how much that money could be worth?
No, but my understanding is gold is rather heavy, and he's just rolling it around like he's got like a knapsack with running shoes and a pair of shorts in it. And I'm like, and he starts
maybe it's only gold plated. Because have you ever gone like, you're like, oh yeah, I want to invest in gold, and you're like, think you're gonna get those bricks like in Die Hard and shit like that, and then they're like, yeah, it's like a little necklace pendant. And they're like, here you go. And you're like, yeah, no.
Yeah, but he did have that one gold bar, right? The small one. Looked like
how much is that? Like, does anyone know how much?
I would have thought that's at least 500,000. But you're right. I mean, I think Sully probably paid. He's in a loss. He's in the red right now, and that's why we're going to get Uncharted 2 and 3. He's going to have to cover.
Do you think they're going to make 2 more after this?
Yeah, I do. The fact that they made this much money in its opening, no, for sure, they'll definitely make another one. I don't think they'll have Ruben Fleischer return. You know what I do hope is that they are inevitably making a second one. I hope they take the time to properly craft a story and a narrative. This movie felt like it just started, and we know that the beginning is towards the end. They try to do a Pulp Fiction thing, but I guess Stu said, you have a flashback of the orphanage, and then it's like things are going, and it's like, where's the buildup? Like, it just felt like nothing. It was really cobbled together, piecemeal, as if they were running out of time to edit this together. So I really hope that in the inevitable sequel, they take the time to craft a much better movie. And a much better story, and that nothing against Ruben Fleischer, because I like Zombieland, but the director of Zombieland is nowhere. He's gone. Yeah, I don't know what happened to that guy.
This movie, let's be very frank, is that if this was made and actually viewed in 2017, before the pandemic came out, during all the movies, this movie would be a bomb. Like, it's because there's nothing else out right now that this movie actually made money. There's no competitors. Like, this movie is what it is. People want to see a movie, want to go to the theater, and Tom Holland's riding off this high from Spider-Man. They're like, it's truly the lowered expectations. There's no other dance partner available.
When did you say the first? It was originally worked on back in 2008. You said
2008, yeah.
So, because you know what, as I was watching this, I said, I think to myself, this is like a very late, like 2009 to 2012 type movie. Like, it feels, and I wonder. I know they had a lot of people go in there and try to rewrite it.
12 writers go through it.
But you know what? I think though that they probably just took one of the earliest scripts and said, okay, let's just make it, for this, and we'll just, because it felt dated, and so that makes a lot of sense, right?
And even the scene, the like, as we joke, like the Patton Oswalt, like, I don't care where the characters got the thing. I just love what I love. It's like, It's like, you like Darth Vader. This is how Darth Vader became Darth Vader. And then the Nathan Drake, the gun holster, the elusive gun holster in the posters in the game. And you're like, it's happening. And I'm like, he's just some random dude that he just fights and he puts it on. And I'm like, wait, that's it? Like,
the theater didn't react. When that happened, the theater was like, whoa.
Like, that's it. Like, I thought it, like, in my mind, I'm like, maybe Antonio Banderas is the one that has it. It's like a thing, and then he takes it away from him. Like there has to be something besides he fought a guy, and he just like this is the nuance of like the gun holster. Like the one thing that's synonymous with this character. It's like
it's like Batman in his cowl, like he like as if he just beat up a guy that had a really cool mask. He's like, oh, I'm gonna use that for my suit. Like it makes it like
it's kind of like in Solo too, or how he got the blaster and all this stuff. Like, is this how you got it? Like the dice is how everything worked. Like you just random happenstance that you find a dude on a boat and you took his. I just sat there and it fits you perfectly. I was like, oh boy, come on.
I also found that the whole I got a bit of a Goonies vibe when they found the pirate ship. I was like, oh, okay, I can relate. You know, the Goonies thing.
It was really weird when that guy yelled, "Hey, you guys!"
It's like sloth. Yeah,
okay.
And then, and then Marky Mark did the truffle shuffle. But and then when you had the two pirate ships, flying, I was like, oh, come on! Like you don't need to have the Michael Bay-ism ending of these movies. Like this is like the Fast and the Furious issue that we're getting with a lot of these type of movies. Like they
escalated it too fast within one movie.
It doesn't make any sense, right? And then it became as you start to have the pirates boarding the ship. I was like, oh, now we're in Cutthroat Island. This is exactly the same. Oh, where's Gina Davis?
There's no Gina Davis, and we're all worse for wear for not having her on it.
Yeah. You know, the great scene was when Tom Holland did that parkour chasing the girl, because you could tell he was doing it, right? Like you could see
he's doing Spider-Man. Yeah, he's doing Spider-Man.
And that was the only time. I'm like, what the hell? That's the only time they used it. They should have had like 3 more scenes of that. Like that was like, it's kind of like, did you guys watch that Tomb Raider movie? Like they had like a really good kind of like the newest one.
Alicia Vikander.
But the newer one, like they have like 1 or 2 like
with really Walter Goggins, John.
Yeah. Shane Pendrell. They have like 1 or 2 scenes because she's an athlete and she's able to do stuff, and then that's it. Like it becomes like a shit show, right? Yeah. This movie is definitely better than that. I think if we compare it to recent, like it's definitely better than Tomb Raider. It's better than the Mortal Kombat.
Which
the new one? All of them. You really think they
whoa. Tomb Raider with Daniel Craig. Don't
get out of town.
Tomb Raider 1 with Daniel Craig is a romp. It's an adventure.
It's fun as shit.
It is so much fun.
Really?
And the butler who plays Lara Croft's butler, who I love from Red Dwarf, is perfect French kiss. He is the perfect smarmy. Like, don't underestimate how good Tomb Raider 1 is. Tomb Raider 1 is incredible.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I've probably watched that.
Even Glenn,
like
Chris Berry plays the butler, like Daniel Craig, Ian Glenn, like it's a great movie. Like I think you gotta rewatch it, man. I don't think you understand how good.
You see in the top corner here, it says 5.8 out of 10, right?
Yeah, but John, if you look at some of the Fast and Furious movies, they're probably the same rank, 5 point whatever. Like it's not.
See, the newer one is but these ratings mean nothing, right?
Yeah, but go to Rotten Tomatoes to see what the fan vote is, because that again, this is the critics. Like, action movies are not critically acclaimed films at the same time. Like,
now listen, there is something to say while John's doing that. Like Stu mentioned it earlier, I think that the audience score was far higher than the critic score. Mm-hmm. Now, I did do a search while beginning of this, and that audience score has come down, but that's to be expected when you have thousands and thousands of people now reviewing it. However, when it first opened, the critic score, I think it was like in its 30s, like late, like 38, 39, but the audience score was high. It was like 80. I think I sent it to you guys. It was like 87 or 90%. Like the audience really seemed to enjoy this movie. Look at the first Tomb Raider, 20% rotten.
That's what I'm saying. You guys are cracked. You guys are cracked.
No,
I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Not bad, man. Tomb Raider 1's not bad, man. Anyway,
I think you guys have gotten nostalgia.
Wait, is that the fan? Was that the critical review? What's the fan review?
That's critical. I don't know how you can.
Yeah, John,
just go into the link. It'll tell you. Yeah.
What's the audience score? How, John? You've been doing this for like a year. Come on, man.
2 years, man.
So Tomb Raider's 47.
Yeah, okay, 47.
Score.
Not bad. All right, it's cool. 47.
And then we want to see the new one. Are we comparing?
Yeah,
to
go
the
to the new
one.
one. Let's do the new one.
55. It's beats it.
It's just barely. It's just within a plus minus margin of
Anyway,
5.
There's a big discrepancy in the critic score, but
John,
they were not as accepting of.
Don't
these
talk to
type
me
of
about
movies back
accounting,
then.
all right? Because somehow Hawkeye is not as good.
We don't talk about Hawkeye.
But we're not here to talk about the past.
Your Peacemaker scores make no sense.
Yeah. I don't understand how math works, John. But I'm not a mathematician. But we're not here to talk about the past. We're
Not a
here to talk about
scientist.
Yeah, you know what? Like, I joke about the fact that this is not really meant for us, but there is a lot of truth in that. An actual, but
Mark in it.
No, but that doesn't. But this is sad reality. Is really what it is, right? And it's not to be like wah wah. But that's the reality, is that these movies, like my son watched it and he enjoyed it. He said he liked it better than Red Notice. So it's really funny that you brought up Red Notice, because
I think it's 100% better than Red Notice.
Wait. Or did he tell me he liked Red Notice better? Now I don't remember what he said, because I wasn't really paying attention.
TFO.
I don't remember. But he did. But yeah, he liked it. He thought it was fun. Like for him, this is something that if it came out on Netflix, he would watch it for sure a couple of times. Like this is one of his, it is in his wheelhouse. He'd watch it a few times. And I think that I see a lot of movies with Noah. I think that he is kind of reflective of the average. He's 13, so the average age of that kid of kids. Like he watches a lot of movies, and this is something that he would watch a lot. And I think, you know what's going to happen in like 30 years, he's going to be doing a podcast with his friends, and then he's going to be like, "I swear to God, this movie is great," and they're going to do a rewatch. He's going to be like, "Oh,
This is a piece of shit."
Oh, nostalgia is a bitch.
First, he's gonna say, "Bro."
Yeah. Oh, he says "bro" all the time. It's driving me crazy.
Bro.
He calls me bro.
Yeah. I know what you're buying him for Christmas now. You're gonna buy a tracksuit, so he
right.
can be a tracksuit mafia.
Tracksuit mafia.
Yeah. All right. We're done talking about it. We know what it is. If you, like, let's be honest. You're gonna watch this movie. You're gonna enjoy it if you know nothing. If you know something, you're just gonna be like, things seem weird.
Yeah.
It is what it is. All right, John, where can we find you on the internet and in the desert of the real?
Yeah, so if you're not following us already online, you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch via Heroes World Online. If you haven't listened to us on the audio, Spotify and iTunes, Heroes World Podcast, check us out there. Give us some ratings. That would really help us out. And then we do have a physical store. So if you're looking for gifts for your loved ones, or you just want a treat for yourself, or you want to just come see some hella cool shit, come visit us on 8601 Warden Avenue in Markham, Ontario. We got plenty of stuff. All the links are down below for you to check us
out. Rob? What's going on the Sidekick show this week?
Oh, thanks for asking. So the Sidekick show is Monday night live, 8:15 p.m. On YouTube, Twitch, and you can check it out on the Twitter feeds as well. So we just finished the first part of our 90s action movie bracket. We're taking a pause because this coming Friday, the Batman drops. And in honor of that, we're going to go back and check out one of the best Batman movies, and maybe quite simply one of the best superhero comic book movies of all time, The Dark Knight. So you can definitely want to check that out, and then join John and I as we do a deep dive revisit into The Dark Knight Monday night.
You mean Batman and Robin, right? The best one of all time?
Who are you?
It's really funny because somebody was like, they're like, "Oh, well, what best Batman?" Somebody else said Batman Forever. I'm like, no. Like, there's 7 Batman.
Batman Forever has a special place in my heart, but I'm talking about Batman and Robin. That's George.
Who's Batman Forever? Is that Kilmer?
Yeah,
Val Kilmer. That's Val Kilmer, Jim Carrey.
I haven't seen that in a million years.
Tommy
I feel
Lee
like
Jones,
we should do it.
Nicole Kidman.
I feel like we should do it here. We should do
There's
it for
a
the
cameo of Drew Barrymore. She's in that movie too.
Oh God!
And
Oh
Debbie
shoot!
Mazzara.
Okay.
Debbie, is it Mazzara?
Yep. She played the agent in Entourage.
Sweet and Spicy, or whatever they were called, or Spicy and Hot, or
Naughty and Nice, or whatever.
Naughty and Nice. Yeah.
And then that was a whole Egg Bailey Jr.'s in that movie. It's a whole thing, John, that you're missing. And
I bet you most of us have the most merchandise from Batman Forever. And I have a whole bunch of those McDonald's cups and shit like that.
And that soundtrack with Seal, "Kissed by a Rose," man, it's a banger. You know, it's a song that still slaps,
dude. And the Smashing Pumpkins, like that.
Wait, was Smashing Pumpkins the next one?
No, I don't think so. I thought it was.
No, I
thought
think
it was
Smash Pumpkins the suck. I think
Batman
that
and
one
Robin?
is.
If nothing's going on next week, I think we're doing Batman Forever. folks.
I think Batman Forever. Batman Forever has U2 on it. Isn't that one
Yes,
U2 as
Batman
well?
Oh
also has
yes,
U2.
Thrill me.
Has
or
Batman
something.
and Robin didn't have a very good soundtrack.
No, I think the beginning is the end, or is the Batman, the Smashing Pumpkins one. Rob, I think it's the Batman with George Clooney. You're gonna Google this while we're chatting, but that Batman Forever
Look at that.
soundtrack was incredible. It also had was it Wheatus on it, or what was the like, or had some
Had
crazy
Teenage Dirtbag on it.
Rob, who else?
I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to find it.
Okay, it's got the Hold Me, Thrill Me. Kiss
Yeah,
Me,
yeah,
Thrill
Seal,
Me,
yeah.
You. Oh,
PJ
okay.
Harvey, yeah,
It's got a Brandy song on there.
yeah, Offspring, yeah, Smash It Up, yeah, Method Man, wow, yeah, Flaming Lips, that's what it is. Bad Days, Flaming Lips. Wow, this is a great album. Good times.
Hey, dude, listen. The fact that I forgot it had Mazzy's star in the album. So you're right. It must have been Batman and Robin was the Smash.
It was Batman and Robin because that song, the end is the beginning, is the end, is the one they use in a bunch of movies afterwards.
Yeah.
What
He's
did
in the Watchmen, didn't they?
Yeah, they used in the Watchmen. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, they used in the Watchmen after. So
It's Warner Brothers. Anyways, look at here we go again, guys. For those who are listening or watching, this is the mark of how we feel about these movies. We start going on a tangent about other movies because obviously this is not really
clearly that soundtrack is definitely better than the Dark Knight soundtrack because there's only so much you can hear. Oh,
Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Bone Thugs and Harmony? R. Kelly.
It's an R. Kelly song on it.
How
Called
is
Gotham
Foolish
City.
Games on this? How is Jewel in this? Foolish Games. Wow, Goo Goo Dolls. Wow.
Wow, I think we got to do something on comic soundtracks soon. Then.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Anyways, we're doing the Dark Knight with Heath
Dark
Ledger,
Knight.
the late great Heath Ledger and Christian Bale. So join us Monday night, 8:15, YouTube, Twitch.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Please, again, support local stores any way you can, small, big, whatever purchase as you can. Like, subscribe, bell all the rings, the bells. Let us know your thoughts on Uncharted. Let us know if we're dumb. That if we're right, we're wrong.
We're dumb for not liking Uncharted. Of all the things that we've done,
100%.
yeah, definitely call us out on Uncharted.
Call us out on John's match.
This is the movie.
This is where the line must be drawn here, no further, no more. Yeah. As Captain Jean-Luc Picard once said in Star Trek First Contact, this is where it is.
Yeah.
And this is where Rob says, you broke one of your tiny ships. Goodbye, everybody.